The views, comments, and opinions of the following program do not necessarily reflect those of Morris Media Studios, MorrisMediaLive.com, or its affiliates. Listener discretion is advised.
Good evening, or it's just afternoon. Listen to smooth jazz vibes. Want to welcome all of you out there in Radio Land, should I say YouTube Land, to this show, this beautiful show we do every first and third Sunday at 3 p.m. PST, which is Pacific Standard Time. My name is Torre, Brannon, and obviously today we're missing the big half, the lady who started this whole thing. I want to send a shout out to Linda Morgan, who's down south in Atlanta. What camera I'm supposed to be looking at? This one right here, or the one right in front of me? Huh? Yeah, that's easy. I want to send a shout out to Linda Morgan. Do your thing down there. Have fun. I know you're going to learn a lot and you're going to teach a lot. So we can't wait for you to get back because I miss you. You're usually over here to my right and we do our thing, right? But you're not here right now, but you're here in spirit. So good to say hi to you and say hi to all the people down there, particularly my boy, Louis Gossett Jr., the great actor. I gave him your number. I hope he calls you so that you guys can hook up. But if not, I know he's doing something positive too. So again, my name is Torre Brannon, and I'm proud to be here today. We have a couple of special guests coming in who are musical artists. Certainly I can speak to the power of musical artists and how important artists are to this world and to this culture here in America and around the world. And so today we have Theresa Grayson, I think I'm saying her name right, and Wake Campbell. Both are fantastic musicians, should be joining me in a few seconds here. And they're going to be playing a concert, a special tribute to Mardi Gras, which is my hometown, New Orleans, Louisiana. And that concert is this coming Tuesday evening. Doors open at 7. Concert starts at 8. That's at Catalina Bar and Grill. Some people call it the Catalina Jazz Club. I like to call it the Jazz Club because it seems to me that they play more jazz than anything else. And so we're going to be down there on Tuesday night. I'll be hosting the show that Tuesday night. And we're going to have a good time and have some fantastic music. And I know you're going to enjoy it. So I think tickets are $20. And you can go online or call Catalina Jazz Club or Bar and Grill, and you'll find your way to that concert. So I think they're going to come up in a minute. They can come into the studio, and then we're going to bring them up in just a second and have a beautiful conversation with some fantastically gifted artists who are continuing a tradition and creating their own style, their own vibe, their own movement with the music, which is critically important. So that's part of what we'll be talking about today. And we may get a call in from a young lady who's a mover and shaker in the community here and around Los Angeles, certainly around the state and the country, who's doing a lot to ensure that the everyday people have what they need to make their lives better and to make this world a better place. And so maybe she'll call in. If not, then we'll get her in studio on the next show. And her name is Cherie Franklin, so we hope to see her. But once again, shout out to you, Sister Linda Morgan. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to come on live radio with you twice a month and have a whole lot of fun and learn a lot. And I hope I taught a couple of things. So that's pretty much what I have to say about that. So what we'll do is we'll go to some beautiful music. I think we gave my man LaRon some music. So you can choose whatever artist, because whatever one you play first, we're going to play the next one second. Right? So they'll both we'll get both of the musical artist stuff out there on the airwaves as we go. So whichever one you want to play it. And when we come back, they'll be here in person in the studio. Go ahead, my brother.
This is one of those songs that just warmed your heart. It was written for someone named Sadie, but when you hear it, it really doesn't doesn't matter. You start thinking about your mother. 'Cause during this song, every mother is saying.
Welcome back to Jazzabrations and Beyond. And we've gone beyond the normal show today and brought in two great artists. And we're going to find out all about these artists. We're going to ask them to talk about who they are, why they're here, what they do, etc. And as is our tradition, I will go with the queen first. Go to my right, because when I first saw her on YouTube, I was saying, "Ooh, did y'all hear about Teresa? Teresa." And it's not Teresa. Tell them your name, sister.
Theresa. Theresa Grayson.
Now, is that one of those names that you changed later on?
No, actually, that's my birth name. My mom.
Mom named you? Tell us about your mom and where you come from, where you were born. And
born in Tyler, Texas.
Texas.
Yeah, but I didn't go to school there. My parents moved to Houston when I was 2 years old. Mm-hmm. So I was able to, have a lot of exposure to the fine arts in Houston. Okay. And that's where I attended all of my education there, and then to Sam Houston State for my undergrad, and then graduate work, Prairie View.
So you played music in college, too?
Yes.
High school,
all
middle
the way
school.
Through. Started in fourth grade.
Fourth grade.
With the musical, with the clarinet, with the woodwind.
Okay,
yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Now, what attracted you to instrumentation? I mean, as a woman, there's still this stereotype out there that women can't do all this stuff, but you've been doing it since fourth grade.
Exactly.
So,
well, I started on piano, and then when I was able to go to elementary school, because I went to a private school, and I was introduced to band, clarinet was my first instrument. Mm-hmm. And then I went to bass clarinet. And then I saw this golden, beautiful, just shining thing sitting over there. And I told my teacher, I want to learn how to play that.
Right.
And, of course, she put me on the biggest one, the tenor. And so I've been in love with it ever since.
Yeah.
And so she exposed me to great musicians and other artists for me to start listening to, of course, while learning, basic music and reading and playing and performing. So I had a great time and great exposure with that.
So if you had to choose three artists in world history, who would be your top three that inspired you, particularly as a female?
Well, I fell in love with Grover Washington Jr. because I wanted to play and sound like him. And, of course, as I was starting to grow up, Kirk Whalum was one of my favorites. Okay. And then, of course, John Coltrane. So
I was hoping you pulled one of the old school brothers.
Yes, of course. Because
so you didn't mention any women.
I know, and there was some great artists out there, but I just wasn't exposed to, They
didn't have a lot of them to choose from. Yeah. Well, I think of Clara Bryant. I don't know if you heard of Clara, but she's probably about in her 90s now, somewhere in her 90s, and she played with Dizzy Gillespie.
Alto.
So you know
yes.
her. Yeah. I haven't seen her in a number of years, but I consider her a great friend. But she would explain to me some of the hurdles that she had to overcome as a great female artist out there.
Absolutely.
And I imagine you've had some experiences that.
Absolutely, and I love her because she was singing and playing.
Right. Yeah, she does a great Louis Armstrong impression. By the way, and me being from New Orleans, I love Satchmo,
Yeah,
but great. So you're going to be in concert this coming Tuesday night.
It's Tuesday night. Cannot wait. Excited.
How did this happen? And then I'm going to talk to my man.
Well, I'm going to leave this up to Veronica. I think yes.
Is she there? Where's she?
Yes, she's over there.
She's out there. She should have came out there. So Veronica brought you guys in?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. Well, I'm going to be there.
Awesome.
On stage. Okay. Introducing you guys.
Thank you.
Yes, indeed. So I want to learn much more about you guys. But let me turn to my left to the gentleman.
My brother.
How you doing, bro?
Fantastic. You sound great on this mic. Look at that. I'm listening to you over there. You sound amazing on radio. I need to do this more often.
Yeah, she sounds good, huh?
She sounds great on radio.
Thank you.
Tell us about you. Where did you start? Where were you born?
I was listening to her. She's got me beat. She started playing at, what'd you say? How old?
Fourth grade.
Which means she was how old?
That's 8, 9 years old.
8 or 9 years old.
Yeah, because I was 11. I started when I was in the
you were an old man.
She got me beat there.
Right.
And I wish I had started out on piano, but I started out on flute.
Now, why did you say that? I wish I started out on piano. What is it about the piano?
No, that's the instrument. That's the one that you really want to master or get down, because everything else, I guess, is based off of that. I mean, the theory and everything. I mean, you start if you got that down, then you can go a long ways, especially with writing music and just understanding. If you can play multiple notes at once, then playing one note's going to be kind of easy.
Beautiful. Well, let me ask you the same question.
Sure.
Who are your major inspirations when it comes to not only the saxophone, but just music in general? That inspired you?
Asked it a little different. I already have an answer.
Yeah, I put a little different. I
put
a little switch on you. But you're a musician. I know you can handle it.
No, my favorite musicians would still be Ronnie Laws, Grover Washington, Charlie Parker, and she mentioned John Coltrane. But see, with me, I didn't need anybody else after that. I could stay there. Just those four. And Grover Washington and Ronnie Laws came after I fell in love with Coltrane and Parker. As a matter of fact, I was one of those guys early on who played nothing but straight ahead. Okay. And I was not remotely interested in either Ronnie Laws, anything that dealt with what we call smooth jazz today. It was probably called jazz rock or contemporary jazz back in the day. But today, I can't imagine not having Grover or listening to Grover over the years and listening to Ronnie Laws over the years. They were amazing.
Right. Now, you guys are playing your instruments and doing your thing today. And both of you mentioned classic art. I call them classic artists. You mentioned Coltrane and you mentioned Bird, Charlie Parker. And you're going back to the 40s.
Oh, yeah.
And Coltrane, pretty much 40s, 50s, 60s. What is it about those artists that keeps you interested in their music and inspires you to continue to talk about them. Like they lived so long ago. I've been to smooth jazz concerts and have talked to people who are quote unquote fans. And you mention Coltrane, and they go blank. They don't know anything about Coltrane. They don't know about, like if I mentioned, say, I don't know, Howard Silver, or, it seems like there's an education gap somewhere that happened. They know about, I don't know, who plays all these smooth jazz concerts, who's out there.
Miriam Meadows and the Paul Taylors, sometimes Gerald Albright, of course, and sometimes they know about the Najis. They may not. A lot of the guys may not even know about a Najee.
Right.
But you have to, if you really want to play, you need to go back and study these guys. I mean, it's like I think I was talking to either Veronica or Eric earlier. Eric is one of the other promoters that are doing an amazing job for us, really, truly helping us out.
Yeah. Yes.
But we were talking about how a lot of the kids listen to basically other kids and try to learn how to sing and how to play, as opposed to going back and listening to and really learning how to be a musician. And you'd have to, and when you talk about jazz, you have to go back and you have to study jazz from musicians from way back. And not, as you were mentioning earlier, what are some of the other musicians beyond saxophone players? I mean, the piano players, the George Benson. I say George Benson. A lot of people think about George Benson as a vocalist when he came in. George Benson was playing back when he was a teenager, and I mean playing
the guitar.
Playing the guitar. I've seen him on some things where he's just amazing. Straight ahead. We're not talking about what he's famous for, but the Art Tatums and the Oscar Petersons and the Clark Terrys and the Chet Bakers. I mean, you talk about music that moves you. The Curtis Fullers and Lee Morgans and Clifford Browns, and just go and you go and you talk about the Louis Armstrongs. You can just go back, but you have to have some idea, some understanding, some appreciation for that type of music in order to truly.
Those are the artists we stand on. Those are the
yes, that's the foundation. And if you don't have that foundation, what happens is it shows up. It will truly show up in your performance.
I was looking at a documentary on the life of Nat King Cole, and at some point this guy came on and he said, people don't know that this guy is one of the greatest jazz pianists who influenced Oscar Peterson. And then they brought Oscar Peterson on to talk about not the vocalist Nat King Cole, but the piano player. A cat who could just sit there and play. So I just feel like, let's not forget that stuff. So you seem to know your history. You guys seem to respect the history. So I like that. I like that.
That was my upbringing. That was it.
Yeah. You had to study
we had to study.
The masters.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And they paved the way. They paved the way, and they really worked hard. So I definitely appreciate them, and I teach my kids and my students.
And she's a school teacher, by the way, music teacher. So she's legit.
I'm gonna have to give her 5 because I'm a teacher too. Because there's nothing like getting into those young minds, getting into that classroom and inspiring those young people.
That's right.
Yeah. So now, where's your career at? Are you where you want to be? When you were a child, you had your dreams and talked about I'm going to do this. Where are you now, and where are you trying to go?
Absolutely. I think, like, right now in this very moment, this is a part of my dream. This is the steps. The doors are opening, new opportunities. The territory is increasing. So I am absolutely grateful. It's so fun because everybody has their different measurement of success.
Right. Gotcha.
And sometimes success to people is being millionaires and billionaires. But success may be just accomplishing those goals and those dreams that you've had since you were young, So this is a level. This is just I'm just closing one chapter, going into another.
So there's some type of music that you want to do that you haven't done yet. Is there some type of music or some type of album that you haven't done?
Absolutely.
That you'd like to do? No.
I think right now I have accomplished all of my albums, and now after this last album I just recorded, which we're going to be releasing this year. I can do pretty much whatever I want because I've accomplished those goals. That's what I'm saying. That's my measure of success. That's So I'm grateful right now.
Cool.
I never thought I would have like 5 albums. Like
right. Now, you guys going to collaborate? Are you guys going to be on stage at the same time on Tuesday night? playing together? Because both of you guys are bad sax players.
Absolutely. We got to bring it. We are
So
bringing
y'all
it.
bringing all that power.
We're bringing it. Yes.
You guys have played together before?
We
Yes.
we have a few times now. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So you have a band of musicians who you've played with before, or somebody you just rehearsed here?
She hasn't met the band members before, and I haven't actually met them before.
Okay.
I met one. I met the bass player,
Okay.
but I've spoken with them, and the guys are phenomenal. I know one of them, and I've been speaking with them off and on, and they're truly incredible. So we're going to get together with them tomorrow,
Okay.
and we're just going to have some fun. And I already know that it's going to be
out of sight.
I already know.
Yeah. Wynton Marsalis talks about how in jazz you can like fly to any city, right, and just find some cats who can play, and you can walk on stage and have a great time.
Yeah.
You know.
Find the right cats, of course.
You got to find not just anybody, right? What has been some of your greatest musical experiences in your career that you can point to and say, "Hey, man, that was."
I'm having them right now.
Okay.
I'm having them right
Right.
now. And they're getting better. I mean, I've traveled a little bit. I was in Europe with Howard University, so I started out early, and that was a blessing. Got over there and I stayed for almost two, 3 years. Then I went back and I was in the military band for a little while. And after that, it's just I just started having all the experiences I can and just enjoying growing. I learned a lot while at Howard. I learned a lot while in the military band system. And,
What part of what branch? Army, Air Force.
Air Force.
You're all right, though.
But it was a lot. I mean, being in, I was in Europe for a little bit. Then I was in California. I was in Monterey area for a better part of a year, and I was in Switzerland with Howard University. So that was nice.
So how long did you guys stay there?
Howard
In Switzerland.
Howard with the university with Howard University. I was there for probably 7-8 months. After that, because I was there and because I met, actually, it's because of the conductor. The conductor had a couple other opportunities that he was taking advantage of, and he called me and a few of the other guys, both from the cast and from the pit orchestra. So we got to stay on and do a few other shows while we were there. So I was there for a good, like I said, close to 3 years or so.
Oh, cool. Now, as a educator, you're in there with those young people. What if they want to be musicians? Today, when you think of young people wanting to be artists, they really want to be stars, a lot of them. Because I teach, and I'm with high schoolers, and they want to be stars, And isn't there a difference between being a great artist and being a star?
Absolutely.
And what do you tell young people about that whole lifestyle, wanting to go into it?
I'm a realist, so I'm very transparent with my students. And I tell them, everything that you see on television, everything, that you see that's glittering, that's gold, that's shiny, it didn't come overnight. These people have been working at this for years, and you have to do the same. I tell them, if I'm teaching a class, I was sitting right where you are. Right now, I was sitting there. I was that student looking at my teacher, learning, But guess what? I wasn't outside playing with everyone else. I was inside practicing.
Right.
And that's something that we stress. Unfortunately, I think our generation, this younger generation, they're not accepting that because everything is it's already made. It's already made.
You can do all these beats on.
It's already made.
Computer, yeah.
Right. But that's just for, but here's the thing. It's on us to help, to mold them, to educate them, to influence them, to empower them. And that's what I'm about. So from every school program that I have, anything, we're rehearsing every day, every morning, throughout the school day, till it's right. And I'm instilling that in them, and then they see my life. I don't keep it a secret. They see the pictures, they see the albums, they see the magazine covers. I have that available where they can see that in class. They can go to my YouTube channel. They can go to my website and see what I'm doing. And sometimes they walk in the classroom and I'm practicing. I have my instruments and I'm practicing. Walking quietly, have a seat, and these are the things I'm teaching. Even as they walk into my door, respect the fact that this is what I'm doing. I love to do, sit there quietly while I'm doing, and then I'll share with you.
Right.
But these are the things I want them to see.
Right.
That we have to model that for them.
Yeah. Well,
I just want to
go ahead. Add to that.
I'm impressed. I'm impressed with that. I never heard that story before, and she's absolutely right. Just doing those types of things and letting them see that you can do those types of things yourselves, and being the example. That's what the kids need, and I'm glad that she shared that with you, because more instructors actually need to do that type, and they need to be out there and performing and letting the kids know that this is where you go, you can see me, and showing them. You know, it makes a difference, because if they don't have that, then they have no idea what their options are. And seeing somebody doing it and being close to somebody who does it, it means a lot. So I'm glad she shared that with you.
So part of this show, well, let me back up. I was brought onto this show after it had done almost a year. I'm probably as well known in the community for my community activism and social, justice work. And so inevitably, when we're talking about music and sports, at some point we talk about culture and politics. And I was at Spiritual Center maybe a month ago, and this young artist who's a violinist, I think, she said, I'm trying to play more in front of my people, in front of black people. I want them to see me. And she said, but I don't make much money in the community. I have to go out and, I just don't. And she said, she was frustrated, but she was saying that she was still committed to working in the community, and she appreciated the value of being a community artist, someone who you can see at the church or see, at some of the community centers and stuff like that. But at the same time, she was a little disheartened with what she perceived as lack of support of the serious music, because she's like you, an African American female artist who plays an instrument, and she just. What do you guys think about that whole phenomenon of African American artists? And they have to make their money. I've heard Wynton Marsalis talk about this before, but at the same time, you do want to, have your people enjoy the concerts and the music.
Absolutely.
So how do you guys feel about that?
I just believe, it's so funny because, it's all a part of the growth, the grind. And of course, as we have that little quote unquote cues, I mean, you're playing your dues and stuff. So I just think you have to set your standard. Start setting your standard. And sometimes you just have to educate people on your expectations and on your worth and your value. Of course, you may not get, exactly everything, but put it out there, put it in writing, and stick to it.
Right.
That's it. And you can have a little bit of both worlds. I really believe that. I do the same thing for my community and my school and everything else, but I'm not going to do it all the time.
Well, Mars Media is telling us we need to take a little quick break. We want to come back and see what Wake thinks about that whole issue. And are we going to go to break now?
No, we have a caller.
Oh, we have a caller. Okay, that's different. That's different. I saw the sign, but I didn't have my glasses on, brother. Okay. So how do we get that caller online? She's on now? Can we hear her?
Yes. Hello.
Hello. Hi.
How y'all doing? This is Linda Morgan calling you from the ATL.
Oh, can y'all hear her?
Yes, barely.
Yeah, this is the founder of the show here, Linda Morgan. How you doing, Linda?
Oh, wow.
Hey, can you hear me? This is probably staticky on this phone because I'm at ATL.
We can hear you. I can hear you in one ear. Wait, can you hear?
I can hear her.
Call in and say hello to our guests, and you guys are looking good. I'm getting comments on Facebook, and there's what's our sister's name?
Teresa. Not Teresa. Teresa.
They want to see your eyes, Teresa.
They want to see
they
the
want
eyes.
to see her eyes. Yeah, she has some pretty eyes.
How about that? Is that better?
On Facebook, they saying they can't see.
They can't see her eyes. Huh? Okay.
All right.
Okay. They got to see it.
She's still in relaxed mode. She just got off a plane. I mean, literally, we picked her up at the
She
airport.
might be a little tired. Huh?
So,
She's here.
I just want to say, hey, you guys are sounding great. And Cora Bryan plays trumpet. She is one of the jazz legends that I've honored. And she lives right there in the community.
Mm-hmm.
She's going to be 91.
Right. I would love to see her.
Yes. So she'll be coming out. She's doing well.
Good.
Her sons take great care of her, and she'll probably come out to the
Tuesday night show.
Jazz.
Awesome.
No, that would be nice. I'd like to have those two take a photo together.
Nice.
Absolutely.
That'd be great. Linda, it'd be good to see you when you get back. When are you coming back?
I'll be back Tuesday.
Tuesday. Oh, you're coming back on Mardi Gras night.
Yes.
Yeah. See, I'm supposed to be back in New Orleans in the streets. But I can't make it.
There's a dance called there, Second Line.
Second line. Yeah. We're going to do a little bit of that on Tuesday night. Yeah.
All right, y'all. Well, I
Okay.
just want to say hey and keep it up. And I'm watching here in the ATL.
Okay, call Linda Butler. She's trying to call me, but I can't talk to her online.
All right.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, I guess we're back now, right? Cool. That was smooth, man. You saw how we did that? You know, we got them smooth moves. Yeah, that was Linda Morgan, who's the founder of this show, a lady who's done so much to honor jazz artists who are unsung and may not get their recognition. She makes sure that people know who they are. And
We need more people like her around.
yeah,
Yes,
she's done
that's
so
awesome.
much, man. You know, I think she's celebrating 10 years of doing these honors to these jazz artists and stuff.
Beautiful,
So,
beautiful.
and when I came on, I was like, well, you know, I'm not really strictly jazz. I got a little funk, you know, a little doo-wop, you know. She was like, that's cool. It's all the same. So we get along pretty fine on that one. So we were talking about the issue of black people supporting the music. How do you feel about that, just in general? Wait. And not
I
just
think
jazz,
it's not. You were talking about the one specific,
Yeah,
that one particular artist.
Yeah.
And I don't think that. In general, people are going to support what they like. They're going to if they hear something they like, they're going to come out. If they see something they like, they're going to come out. I'm one of those people that one of those artists that think that you have to give people something to appreciate it. If they do, then they'll show up. If they don't, they won't. Bruno Mars is exciting these days because he's exciting.
Yeah.
You know, if you give the people something that they want to see, they are going to show up. The Ressa does an amazing job entertaining a crowd. People come out to people love her. People love her. They come out to see her. She does an amazing job with putting herself out there on you, makes sure she has a presence on the internet. I mean, some people are gifted in that area, and there are others who aren't. And so, if there's somebody who's not gifted in that area of promotion, they need somebody like Veronica or an Eric or some other manager or promoter or agent in order to do the work for them. So, in short, to the young lady you were speaking of. And I'm not discounting what she's saying because, yes, to answer your question, people are not smooth jazz or jazz is not as popular as R&B or soul or rock and roll and so on and so forth. But it is still popular. And you just have to put yourself out there, be seen.
Right.
Without a team behind you, it's going to be a little bit more challenging. So if this young lady doesn't have a team behind her doing the things that need to be done in order for her to be seen.
So it might be a marketing question.
It is very much a marketing question. Everybody needs somebody, some sort of support system behind them. If you can't write music, and be great at it. You have to have nice material. You can't then play music and be great at it. You have to be able to play well, and you can't then. You gotta record your music. After you record it, you gotta mix it. You gotta master it. Then you're gonna have to have CDs. You're gonna have to have graphics done. You're gonna have to then go out and market those CDs. I mean, there's so much that has to be done.
And now there's Spotify and all these other.
Well, even with
sites.
that, you have to know that. Then you have to be computer literate, and you have to be great at that. There's so many things that you have to be great at.
You can't just play an instrument and kick back.
You can't just play an instrument.
And the world's going to open up to you.
No, or you have to have somebody doing it for you.
Right.
So when there are people out there who say, well, I'm getting no support from my neighborhood, or I'm getting no support from this group or that group, then all I would say that if you were able to put yourself in front of this group and that group, find those with the advent of the internet these days, it's easier but you still need to understand that you need a team, or you need to be capable at those things. Like I said, Teresa is phenomenal. She has management, as you see, but she still does a lot of that herself. So you need to be a little bit more like Teresa in that regard.
Beautiful, beautiful. Now, I do have a concern. As an educator, I have observed at the school where I teach that there are very few African-American students involved in the band. Now, I know some of it has to do with the fact that demographically there's been a shift in the community in the last, let's say, 30 years. The school where I teach is called Locke High School. It's one of the two classic schools. I call them classic because they were built as a result of the Watts Uprising in 65. So they both opened in, I think, 68. And the majority of the students in the band are Latino, which is fantastic. But I just found myself, being from the South and coming from that HBCU background, seeing those, those bands just killing, right? Those high school bands, man, that helped to really attract students to the schools. In the school, that school and others that I can name are losing students every year, which means that they lose money. And I think one of the greatest ways to attract students is having a fantastic musical program and sports teams and stuff like that. I guess my question is, do you guys see the music dying where it concerns young African-American potential artists? And I know you're in the classroom, you have your classes, but outside of that, do you see it dying, or is there growth going on? Like, what's happening in jazz right now?
Wow, that's a loaded one.
I hope it's not too heavy a question.
Yeah, that's a loaded one. That's a loaded one because from my understanding, in some places, they have actually started to phase out the music programs.
Right.
And that totally alarms me. I know that in the district and, of course, in Texas, music is huge. I'm very fortunate to work for a district that the superintendent is all about music. We just did a function last night, and it's about music. They're hiring bands. They're having students to come and perform at the galas, and it's a huge thing. And plus, in Texas, we have the UIL, so students are competing. They're going to regional. They're going to state. I'm so glad to hear that. Yeah, it's amazing. I'm just fortunate, to be a part of that, and it's being pushed. Fine arts is heavy at where I am. So it's unfortunate in some places it's being removed. Now, what I find really alarming is for instance, the high school that I attended, when I go to a football game, I see that, the band, we had a band of 200 when I was in school. And, to see it trickle down to maybe 30 or 40, it's scary. Wow. Now.
Right now.
I believe what's happening is that it's a village. So it starts at home. It starts with academics. It starts with the educational part, the foundation. Kids are not passing, so they're not able to be in those fine arts classes or electives that they've chosen because they have to go now to reading recovery or math programs. Yes, because they have to push the academics because that's where initially where that money is going to those programs. Right. So the music part, it's dying, unfortunately, in some places.
Something has to be done.
Something has to be done. But, our kids are not reading and writing.
That's a huge issue.
So that's an issue for us.
Everybody's looking at their phones now.
Yeah, they're not reading and writing. And so can they be successful citizens and adults? Or do we want them to be musicians? That's where it's coming down to.
Come on in. That's one of my guests there, guys.
Okay, so with that, being said, I think that those are the issues that we're running into. The programs are being faded out because academically the kids, our students are very challenged. They have barriers.
Well, Wake, I'm going to throw a variation on that theme to you.
You've already done it once.
I did it once, and you handled it well, brother. I got to give it to you. With adults, do you see any death of the music? Is the music still as vibrant as it has been? Is it growing?
With adults?
With adults, not just with kids.
The adults appreciate the. And when you say adults, you mean.
I mean,
40,
not just
50
kids.
years.
Some people are you know, they may be older, but they may not have the type of appreciation for the music that.
No, I think they do. When we go out, we're talking about a mature crowd,
Right.
35 and older. So certainly there's appreciation there, but at the same time, they still want. They still like soul. They still like R&B. I mean, excuse me. I'm a Earth, Wind, and Fire, fan. One of my favorite bands growing up was, and I was a serious straight ahead guy. I mean, I didn't like
Straight ahead jazz.
Right. I didn't like. I got to the point where I didn't want to play R&B. Growing up as a kid, you played R&B. I played with all kinds of neighborhood bands, growing up. But eventually I got to the point where I didn't want to do any of that. I played in marching bands, of course, in high school. But eventually I got to the point where I didn't want to do any of that. All I wanted to do was play jazz, straight ahead jazz. So there's a few years there. My first 2 years in college and certainly my last year in high school. But good music is good music, and I think I grew up to appreciate Earth, Wind, and Fire and Stevie Wonder and all the guys.
How about LTD?
Well, LTD is the Commodores. I mean, good music was good music, and there was a lot of it back in the day. You had bands, and there was more of a mindset of playing the music. I saw a show a while back, and you know how it was a show, and there was a star of the show was a musician, and they're a popular musician, and they were. And they'd already had their career, and now they're on this TV. It was a reality show. They're on this TV show, so they're on the show, and they're going to a studio, and they're going to dabble in country music. So they're going to the studio, and they've already had a hugely successful career in music as an artist with the group, and then they wrote songs for multiple people and made all kinds of money doing that. So they were hugely successful, won Grammys and so on and so forth. Right. So now they're trying to get into country and western. They get into the studio with this country band or country artist. Right. This artist brings a band into the studio. And doing what she normally does. There's two different worlds are meeting in this instance. Right. And the woman who's hugely successful in R&B or what have you, she gets into the studio and she says, "Wow, this is the first time I've ever been in the studio with a band." Oh, I wouldn't even say that. Well, and said it on TV. Yeah. But I say all that to say that that's kind of the mindset. The older crowd has gotten to the point where they also appreciate some of the mechanical music or the sequence music and so on and so forth. But if in fact you're not, you don't have to be an accomplished musician to do a CD, produce an entire CD. You don't have to be an accomplished musician to do that anymore. You don't have to be a musician at all in order to do that these days. Yes, yeah. But fortunately, there are some producers and arrangers and writers out there who are, and they've done a great job. And I like the fact that you have the shows like American Idol, and you have The Voice, and all these other shows that feature singing and great artists and great performances. It makes a difference because without that, you've got a lot of guys out there who need the auto-tuning and so on and so forth, and that's what's killing music. But to answer your question, yes, I think that the adults are appreciative of good music, but I think they've been fed a lot of bad music as well over the years. Bruno Mars, I think I mentioned him a little earlier. Yeah, that brother can sing. I mean, that's one of the things I like about him is he can actually sing. He sings his butt off. And I'm glad that he has talent and he's doing well. And he started out, and
I'm excited about that.
He started out with a band, okay? I didn't like his band dancing and doing that. That's just my own preference. But the thing is, after they got rid of all of that, the musicians don't need to dance. Just let them play the instruments.
Like James Brown had.
Yeah, James Brown had a phenomenal band. Had a phenomenal band.
Right.
James Brown was not a musician in that he played piano. I don't think he played piano. Right. He didn't know how to say, do this, play this chord, play that. But he knew every thing he wanted. He could sing to them everything he wanted them to do, and he could explain that to them and get that out of the musicians. Right. He could command a room full of musicians like nobody's business. It was crazy. Michael Jackson was probably the same way. You know, I don't know how much of how theory he had when it came to music, how much musical training he had. But Michael Jackson could command a band. He can get on stage and say, I want you to do this, this. Right. They just had an ear for it, and it makes a difference. Some of the producers out there who may not be able to play a lick of music, they have that ear, they have a gift, but that is not everybody. That is not everybody by any stretch of the imagination. So there are a lot of people who think that they have the gift as well, and then they get out there and they produce I should say inferior. Some of them are very successful, so I can't complain about it. But the industry accepts some of that. I was talking to somebody the other day. I'm not going to mention any artists in particular, but you can sing the silliest line, and the kids will gravitate towards it. Now, we will also get up and we will dance to it.
Well, we dance to James.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
that was JB.
James was special. James was special.
He make you dance.
Yes. Yes.
Anyway, I think that the adults, when they hear something they like, they appreciate it. And I think the adults can appreciate talent. Right. And they can separate the two. They know when it's time to dance and party and have a good time, and they know when they listen to quality music. They know when Patti LaBelle is singing and everybody in the room just gets quiet.
Yeah, it's called respect. You know, I once saw Abby Lincoln at a jazz concert, and she was singing, and people were like just talking and chatting it up, and and she stopped the music, and she was like, "If y'all don't shut up, I'm not singing another word." And they, I was like, oh, I thought they were going to, but they respected the fact that she's like, I'm here to sing. I have something to say. And she straightened the whole thing out. I love that moment, Yeah, yeah. But I'm glad to hear you talk about Bruno Mars, who's one of my favorite young artists. I think he's bringing an energy to the stage and a musicianship or a level of production that I think it's kind of missing these days.
And touch on the musicianship, because the brother can sing. That's what I really like about him. The music is phenomenal, and he can sing.
And he can sing at the same time. Kind of reminds me of like a Jackie Wilson type, somebody who can sing and move, because he's moving a lot and stuff like that. I'm glad he's out there doing his thing, and I jumped on his side when he was being attacked. I think it was last year. People were attacking him. It was like, well, he's not black. I'm like, what difference does it? Exactly. Anybody who could, authentically be themselves, I'm with that, and whatever that means. So that was
brother. You go to Europe, you see some of the artists over there doing the music from this country. You'd be blown away. And they don't have any of the attacks, so they just go out there and they just do it. They don't have anybody telling them not to do it, that they can't do it. They're just doing it, and they're doing incredible jobs.
I'm going to shout out to my boy Josef. Josef, how you doing, brother? He's in Sweden, and I went over there with him. We did some concerts on this island called Uta in Sweden, and all he does is play a guitar and sing. And I was telling, some of my friends here, this cat, we sat and we talk about Otis Redding and, Sam Cooke, and, we can have a great conversation about because that's what he listens to, and that's what he does, So, music definitely transcends. Skin color and stuff like that. So,
Amy Winehouse, Josh Stone.
One of my favorites. Yeah, one of my favorites. Yeah, cool. So you guys, we have a few minutes left. We want you to maybe give us your vision for the next 5-10 years of your career. What do you see yourselves in the next 5-10 years? Sitting on top of a mountain somewhere. I would ask you about this movie Green Book, right? You guys saw that movie?
I haven't seen it yet. I haven't seen it.
About this great artist, pianist, who was classically trained and who went down south to, to try to deal with what was going on down there in the 50s and 60s. But the thing about him was that he had so much class and style and, trained musician. And the guy that was driving him was rather uncouth, unsophisticated, etc. He was teaching this guy lessons. But the thing that was so striking is that back then he had such high standards for his music. You know, the way he even walked in society. You know, he reminded me of kind of like a Duke Ellington type of person. You know, and everything. But I'm just, I guess, interested in where you guys see yourselves in terms of, you know, what you're going to be doing in the next 5-10 years of your career, just as individual artists.
Well, I see myself, of course, just gracing as many stages as possible around the world. That's it. It's in a nutshell. Okay. And of course, you know, I love kids and I love students, and I think that'll be one of my focal points is that to definitely connect and collaborate with other artists that are doing things in other countries for the kids, for the students.
Yeah, it'd be nice to bring some of them to Europe, or Africa, or somewhere.
Absolutely,
bring some of the young people.
Yes,
get them exposed. Yes. You know? So, how about yourself?
Same here. I'm looking to do more of what I'm doing right now, just to as much as possible. More cities, more interviews like this one, and just have fun with it. Just to continue to have fun with it. I'm enjoying myself right now. So if I continue to do this year after year, month after month, week after week, I'm happy, because this is what it's all about. Enjoy yourself doing what it is you love. So I can't be happier.
So that means that I heard that the definition of you know, happiness is, you know, what you're doing. You're playing music for a living, and music makes you happy. So you've kind of solved some of the huge issues in life.
There you go.
A lot of people have.
That's huge.
Yeah.
It is huge.
Yeah, people like going to jobs that they hate.
Exactly.
You know?
And I said I wasn't going to do that. I wasn't going to be that person. And that's why I make transitions.
And you made up your mind earlier about that.
Absolutely.
That's a great. I'm going to show this tape to my students. I'm going to say, see
awesome.
Here. Two cats doing what they want to do. It's all right to call you a cat, right?
That's right. That's right.
One of the cats. You guys have any questions for me? Nah, it's not y'all time. But I do want to announce that, and I hope that when I announce it and you guys hear what I have to say, you might consider joining us. We're developing a trip to New Orleans, Louisiana. Okay. You agree that that's the birthplace of jazz, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So we're going to go back to the root of it all. I have in studio here a good friend of mine now who's a travel agent and business partner, and we're going to be taking about 40, 50 people back to New Orleans to go to Congo Square, where it all started, and walk through the Treme district, through the French Quarter, join the second line, eat some gumbo and shrimp jambalaya, and you know, just kind of have a really good time, but learn some stuff at the same time. You know, we're talking about bringing some young people with us. So this is going to be August the 8th, I think, through the 13th, something like that. But we'll put out more information and do a special show on it and bring you up, put you in front of the camera, and talk more about it. So, yeah, that's called New Orleans, the Soul of America, Return to the Root, or something like that. Yeah. So we're going to do that. So it's been a great time with you cats.
Absolutely.
It's been my pleasure.
And I'm looking forward to Tuesday night. So anything special we want to say about Tuesday night? You guys have some surprises for us? Or y'all going to bring your umbrellas? And I'm going to bring my umbrella, and I'm going to have some beads. You know, y'all been to Mardi Gras in New Orleans?
I haven't been to I've been to New Orleans, but I haven't been to Mardi Gras yet.
It's
you got to go, Wick. You got to go.
It's crazy.
But be ready to go just buck wild.
Yes.
All right? I know you suave and cool, and you know, he's like, yes, I am Wick. But when he get back there in New Orleans,
you're funny.
he's gonna be like, was that Wake? Oh my goodness! Don't put the camera on that. I gotta go. You gotta go at least once in your life, brother. How about you? Have you been?
Yes, I have, and I just did a.
Yeah, you're in Houston. So.
Yeah, so it's all Mardi Gras between Galveston, and I just did an event the other night. So yeah, it's Mardi Gras. It's crazy. It's like 2 a.m. It's like 24/7.
Yeah. For 2 weeks. And then even after Mardi Gras.
Yes. They still be hanging over the rails with beads hanging off. So,
It's kind of wild. Do you guys still have Astroworld in Houston?
We don't have Astroworld anymore. It's been long gone.
It's kind of bittersweet memory for me. But
they took it all down. Yeah, I used to work there when I was in high school. It was like everything.
They
had the concerts and the rides and the water park.
Why do we do that? Like,
I have no idea. So
like, who would kill Astroworld, right?
Right.
That's crazy.
It's crazy. Trust me, it's all vacant now. It's like when you see the Texas Cyclone there, it's not there anymore.
Oh, okay, here's a challenge I got for y'all. Like, you're going to get a double platinum album. I can see it already, both of y'all. when y'all get that double platinum, let's take some of that money y'all ain't gonna use and build another Astro World.
Okay, build another music park.
We can build
and
us
have
out
concerts.
Astro World something, man.
Yeah.
And we'll name like one of the buildings after you guys.
Okay, got it.
Like the way you think.
Yes,
Love the way
I like
you think.
that. I received that one. Thank you so much.
That's vision. We have had a great time here. It seemed like we just got started, because I have so much more to talk to these great artists about. And one of the things I think we can take away is that there's value in putting in work and really honing your skill, like taking time to really get to know your instrument, practice, becoming a master at what you do, and then going out and spreading it around the world, and look at them. They're happy. They're like happy human beings, right? Because they're doing what they want to do. So I think that, that epitomizes the concepts that we talk about when it comes to music, just pure music, not just like Wake was saying, stuff that's on tape, right? Okay, so where are we at? Counting down. Y'all had a good time?
We had a great
Absolutely.
time. Concert Tuesday.
Tuesday night?
Yes.
Doors open at 7 o'clock.
Catalina Bar and Grill.
Catalina Bar and Grill, which is on Sunset, right off of La Brea, right? And I think the tickets are $20, and they can get dinner, and they're going to have a fantastic... How many shows are you guys going to do that night? How many sets, I guess you would call
We're
it?
going to do
One or
two mini sets and 2 longer sets.
2 mini sets and 2 longer sets.
Yes.
Y'all going to be working.
Yeah.
I'll be right there with y'all. We're going to have a great time. All right. So, once again, from Jazzabrations and beyond, I'm Torre, Brannon. Send a shout out again to Linda Morgan. How you doing, Linda, back there in ATL, Atlanta? Bring me back a T-shirt or, I don't know, some fried chicken or something. No, the chicken will be cold by the time you get back. Just come on back safe and sound. We'll see you. Once again, Teresa, Wake, and we wish you out there in TV land and radio land peace, love. Y'all ready? And soul. Put some music on, man.
Oh.